Okay, this is Mr. Gasson here. Let's do our lesson today on adding decimals. So let me get my screen up there. Today we're going to do adding decimals. And what you guys are going to have to do with adding decimals is add them. And you'll be allowed to use a calculator in a lot of them, although I'm going to go over the rules here. But you need to be able to add them. And then you also need to be able to estimate them by rounding. And that is going to be one that's going to be very important for you to do. So I'm going to spend some time on adding and how to do that. You can check all of your answers in a calculator. That's fine. Try them. You might want to try them without a calculator first, but you can try them all, and on your tests and quizzes you'll be allowed to use a calculator. But then you're also going to have to estimate the answers by rounding, and that is going to be probably a bigger point value than the using the calculator part is going to be. But let me go over the rules of adding a decimal, because it is something that is important for you guys to know how to do. In order to add a decimal, you need to line up the decimal points. Okay, you don't line up by pushing them all to the right. You have to line up place values, and when you line up place values, you're looking for that decimal point. So ones are going over ones, tenths are going over tenths, hundredths over hundredths. Sometimes you have to add zeros in there to make the place values line up, but that's what you're doing when you're adding. So I have two examples here. Let me switch my pen color. Let's do blue. We have two examples here. Our first example in adding decimals, in example A, is 6.047, so 6 and 47 thousandths, plus 13.46, or 13 and 46 hundredths. So when I add them up, I'm going to line up my decimal points. So I'm just going to put 6.047, and notice I gave a little extra room between my numbers there. So I'm really spreading them out. Don't try to cram them. I want to be able that I can tell each place value as I'm writing this down. And then 13.46. Now you notice that my decimal points are lined up right here. Okay, that leaves a blank underneath the 7. That's okay. Remember, after my number I can always write a 0. We're not rounding, so we don't have to worry about that. So I can put a 0 at the end there. Now they're going to line up. I'm adding them, so I'm just going to add them together. 7 plus 0 is 7. 4 plus 6 is 10. I put the 0, I carry the 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. Decimal point moves straight down. 6 plus 3 is 9. The 1 moves down, and there's my final answer, 19.507, or 19 and 507 thousandths. And that's all you do. You're done. Let's try example B. I write my number, 14.273. Notice I spread out my numbers, especially after that decimal point. 8.09. I'm adding them together. I got my same situation here that underneath my 3 I don't have a number. So I'm going to put a 0. Put the 0 under there, now I can add them up. 3 plus 0 is 3. 7 plus 9 is 16. I'm going to put the 6, carry the 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. Decimal point moves down. Now if I had a situation, guys, where I had to carry, I can carry over the decimal point. That's okay. Let's finish this. 4 plus 8 is 12. Put the 2, carry the 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2, and I get 22.363, or 22 and 363 thousandths. And that's how you add with decimals. If you may now make sure you're writing this all down. Notice I tried to use a background that looked a little bit more like your paper so that you can see how I am putting this in my, how you should be putting this in your notes. If you're having trouble writing the notes, write them just like I did, lining them up on the lines and your spaces. Now when I go to a new example, you would just skip a line and start that underneath your work already. You need to work kind of down and neat. If you need to pause, go ahead and pause. Otherwise, I am going to the next screen. In our next string, we have example 2, which is evaluating a variable expression. And in here, we have something new. This time, we have variables in there. Variables are the letters, the R and the T, and they stand for a number. Usually, we don't know what number. In this case, I've given you what they stand for. R stands for 2.14. or 2 and 14 hundredths, and T stands for 5 and 2 tenths, or 5.2. Now all you have to do here is substitute, what we call substituting in. So you have to substitute the number in for the variable. So I would just have 6.7 plus, and then I substitute R is 2.14, so I put 2.14 there. So I'm just exchanging the R for the 2.14. Now I can do my problem. I put 6.7, 2.14. Got to put a 0 up here because there wasn't one. Add them together and I get 4. 7 plus 1 is 8. Decimal point moves down. 6 plus 2 is 8. I get 8.84. And I am done. For example B, I'm going to do the same thing. This time it's t. T is right here, so I'm going to plug in the 5.2 for the t. So it's going to be 8.2 plus 5.2. And by the way, yes, you must show this substitution step. So when I grade your tests, you must show that substitution step in there. I'm going to give you, that's going to be part of your credit. Okay, once you substitute it, then you can do your work to solve it. 8.2 plus 5.2. No extra zeros I have to add. 2 plus 2 is 4. Decimal point moves down. 8 plus 5 is 13. So I get 13.4, and I am done. Now you can all check these with your calculator if you want to. Just take out your calculator, hit 8.2. The decimal point is right underneath the 2, next to the 0. So you can do 8.2 plus 5.2. You can check all of your answers with a calculator. That is fine. It's good to practice these skills because you need to know how to do them sometimes. Okay, I'm going to move on to my next example. So if you need to pause, go ahead and pause. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to example 3. Example 3 here gets us into our estimating. So we're going to use estimating by rounding. There's other ways of estimating. You might have heard of front-end estimation. But for adding, we're just going to go simple rounding. And the idea of estimating is that you can do the problem in your head. So it's nice to take out a calculator and get an exact answer, but a lot of times all you care about is what the about answer is. And that's the important thing, is where are we about? And so that's what estimating is for. And again, this is going to be more points than the actual finding the answer, because a calculator does not give you these answers. You don't type these into a calculator first, then round them. You have to round first. This is something that I'm going to make you write down. I need to see what you're rounding to so I can see your thought process. But in reality, you would be doing in your head. So you need to pick numbers that you can do in your head mentally. So in example A here, we have 5.3 plus 22.7, or 5 3/10 plus 22.7. Now I'm estimating here, so I'm not going to find the exact answer. I need to think of a good place to round these two. And a good place to round these two, in my opinion, is the whole numbers. So I'm going to look at them and I'd say 5.3. Okay, 5.3 is about 5. Remember, you look at the next number, the 3, and the 3 is 4 or less. So it keeps the 5 a 5. I'm going to round 22.7 to the same thing. Now, I like to try to round them to the same place value, so I don't want to round that to 20. Okay, that'd be rounding to tenths. I want to round that also to the nearest ones place. 22.7 is going to round to 23, and that's because the 7 is 5 or more, so it's going to make this 2 a 3. Now I can do 5 plus 23, which is 28. Now again, that would be a lot easier to do in my head than actually doing the problem. Okay, I can much easier do that. Okay, let's try B. 3.85 plus 5.21. Kind of hard to do in your head, especially if you're trying to visualize. Let's round them. Now, when you get to decimals, you could round this to maybe to the nearest tenth or the nearest whole number. Depends on how exact you want it to be. So I'd say, all right, let's just round it to the nearest whole number. That's good enough for me. So 3.85, that is about 4. Again, the 8 here is going to make the 3 a 4. Plus, the 2 is going to keep the 5 a 5, and I get 4 plus 5. And 4 plus 5 is 9. And that's my answer. Okay? Now, that's not the exact answer. That's just a rounded answer. Okay? And for C, now this one I have bigger numbers. So for this one, I'm going to round these to the nearest tens. So 91 is about 90. Again, I'm trying to make these easy. Plus 28.72, that's about 30. The 8 is going to make the 2 a 3, so that's going to be 30. Now 90 plus 30 is 120, and that is a lot easier to do. Okay, so that's when I round those, I'm trying to make them easier to do. Okay, I got one more slide here that you want to look at so you can see what you do tomorrow. So if you need to pause right now. Okay, in my last example, I want to show you what you have to do for class tomorrow. Okay, what you'll have to do for class is give me the actual answer and give me the rounded answer. So first thing I'm going to do is give me an estimated answer. So I'm going to round 5.78. I'm going to round that to 6. The 7 is going to make the 5 a 6. Plus 3. The 6 is going to make that 2 a 3. And I'm going to get 9. Then you're going to do the actual number. Now again, you can check these with your calculator, but I'm going to actually do it. So 5.78 plus 2.63. 8 plus 3 is 11, so I'm going to put the 1 and carry the 1. 1 plus 7 plus 6 is 14, so I'm going to put the 4, carry the 1 over the decimal point, bring my decimal point down. 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 2 is 8, and I get 8.41, and that's my actual answer. Now, is 9 close to 8.41? Right, it is. And guys, this is why you can't just round after you're done, because that would round to 8, but 9 is close to 8.41. That would give me a close answer. Okay, that is all I have for today. Make sure you take notes on this, follow the pattern I have, and we will do problems in class tomorrow. Have a wonderful night.